Welcome to the First Friday Entrepreneurship Call with K-State Research and Extension. The purpose of the First Friday Call is to nurture small business and inspire entrepreneurship across the state. If you've been on this call before, you've heard us talk about the importance of creating an entrepreneurial ecosystem. When we are connected, when we see our role as connecting others, we are creating that supportive ecosystem. Today's call is an excellent example. On March 30th, Tim Haynes at Independence Community College Fab Lab registered for the first time for our First Friday call. We finally hooked him with the Sunflower Foundation's presentation on the role of trails in economic development. Less than 2 weeks later, Tim received an email from our good friend Deb Brown, whose weekly Savior.town emails are not to be ignored. Today's topic was local food. Tim sent Deb an email asking if she knew about Rick McNary's Shop Kansas Farms. Deb sent me an email saying, why don't Rick and I partner to do a program for First Friday? The result is the July 2nd First Friday e-call, supporting farm entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me know it wasn't sharing correctly.
Yay.
So did you have to draw all that or was it included?
It's all included.
That is awesome.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. Well, welcome, and thank you for introducing yourself in the chat. Let's see. Okay, so as always, the call is being recorded, and we'll put a link onto the website. They're all recorded and out there for you to look at. And so I'm going to go right to our speakers today, Deb Brown and Rick McNary. Deb is going to go first, and you may remember Deb from previous calls. She's the co-founder of Savior.town, and I still think that her emails are not to be missed. And so I'm going to put in the chat how you can get signed up to receive those emails. And Deb, take it away.
Well, first of all, thank you for all the kind words. I really do appreciate it. This is going to be fun with the captioning at the bottom of it, so I'll try to ignore it. So Becky and I have been working on a new video for August, and it's all about creating a rural food ecosystem. So there's a little heads up, it'll be coming in August. And we'd already done one video about food building community and really found out how important it is to rural people. And if you want to see that, you can find more information at Savior.town. So let's get started. Get ready with your pencil. You're going to want it. You can visit eatwild, EATWILD.com and see listings for online shopping from all over North America. Another one that I found I kind of liked was grassrootscoop.com, and it shares about 30 farms that will ship as well if you want grass-fed. So this topic was really interesting to me because I found out my friend Katie Oldtoff started an online place for farmers to sell and buyers to buy. And we'll talk about them in the next slide. But I want to tell you some of the things I've read. According to fortune.com, they said, quote, citing lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic and recent supply chain disruptions, the Biden administration recently announced a $4 billion investment in strengthening regional food systems, including regional processing capacity, which may help our small scale meat packers. An October 2020 survey of about 1,000 consumers found that post-pandemic shoppers had shifted toward supporting local farms and producers and were disappointed by the mostly food giant options available in their local grocery stores. And one more fact, 91% of consumers said it was important to feed their family healthy, fresh food, and 96% said locally grown and produced food is the freshest, healthiest, and most nutritious available. Let's go visit about Katie here for a minute. Katie is the wife of a turkey farmer and former employee of the Turkey Federation. Jared Aiken is a small farmer who wanted a way to support local farmers and ranchers. So the two of them co-partnered to create choplocal.com. Isn't that a great play on words? They've created a website that offers great marketing for their local farmers involved. Something farmers really haven't had time to learn about, less have time to do. They have a good blog too. They write about weekly meal plans, the differences in cuts of meat, and more about their producers and founders. Now, normally I just go to the grocery store and shop, but these weekly meal plans let me support local producers, save money, and of course, contribute to my local area. It's a long link, but it's one you probably want to do a screen chat for. You can get started searching there. It's a USDA program, and USDA's local food directories help you locate farmers markets, on-farm markets, CSA, and food hubs. The directories are managed and operated by the AMS, which is Agricultural Marketing Service. It's a USDA agency, and their core mission is facilitating the fair and efficient marketing of U.S. agricultural products. So from customers looking to buy fresh local foods for their family to the wholesale food buyers, you can quickly identify the nearby suppliers of local food. By listing their business information in the directories, farmers, producers, and distributors of local foods are able to take advantage of opportunities in both direct to consumer and wholesale markets. Gets better. Each directory provides key information about the business, where it's mapped, the operating hours, month of operation, the whole kit and caboodle. And you can visit the directory listing to find food near you. We depend on our regular deliveries, don't we? The community supported agriculture has become a real popular way for consumers to buy local seasonal food from a farmer. And another website you can go explore is localharvest.org/CSA. And they do a really good job of providing information about where to find them. Now, the advantages for the farmers. They get to spend time marketing the food early in the year before those 16-hour days begin. They receive payment early in the season too, which really helps with their cash flow. And they have an opportunity to get to know the people who eat the food they grow. Now, the advantage for the rest of us, the consumers, well, we get ultra fresh food with all the flavor and vitamin benefits. We get exposed to new vegetables and new ways of cooking. Usually you get to visit the farm at least once a season. And they found that kids typically favor food from their farm, even veggies they've never been known to eat. And you get to develop a relationship with the farmer who grows your food and learn more about how food is grown. This was a pretty cool site I found and did a little research on. It's actually all about software to get growers started and some great small steps of advice. Now, 8 years after launching Local Food Marketplace, they now support 120 plus food hubs, online markets, co-ops, and buying clubs across their more than 35 states. And their aim is really just to increase the amount of food purchased and eaten locally. And they provide technology and services for those farms and food hubs to sell and distribute local foods to consumers and your restaurants and grocery stores and institutions. So if you don't have a clue and you want to start selling online, that's a good place to start. We all love our community gardens, don't we? Did you know that we're actually 3 generations away from living on the farm? I remember when 144 acres the benefit of it, it could raise your family. And that's just not true today. My grandmother's garden took her, grandpa, dad, mom, and us 3 kids to take care of it. It was so big, but we ate from it year round. People now have less garden and farm knowledge to grow their own food than our prior generations did. And just because you live in a rural community doesn't mean you grew up on a farm. Now, some of the benefits of being part of a community garden, well, first of all, apartments don't have a backyard for gardens. So if you live in an apartment, this is a good choice. You'll also have the ability to start selling at the farmer's market. It's a time to test and try out and see if you can grow food that people want. And you might even be able to sell it to the local restaurants and grocery stores. And of course, you want to feed your family with it. Education is another really important part of this process. Plaid Hill Nursery says the secret of a healthy garden is in the soil. We often don't treat it any better than dirt, but soil is so much different than that. As a clump in our hand, it looks simple enough, but under a microscope, we see its complex substance. It's alive and teeming with organism. Unfortunately, any beginning gardener can build good soil. Now, some of the benefits of this education, Rutgers University shared with us, students who engage in school gardens show significant gains in overall grade point average, specifically in math and science. Students expand their ways of thinking or habits to include curiosity, flexibility, open-mindedness, informed skepticism, creativity, and critical thinking. Sedgwick County in Kansas said gardens in our community have helped reduce crime, increase exercise, and improve the health of gardeners. And you can find their community garden list at the link. That's the 3 links I've shared with you there. Not everyone has the ability to garden, grow their own food, even pay for better food. People working multiple part-time jobs may not have time to spend not only on gardening, but also on food prep. People may not be able to afford good food from the stores. Seniors may be less able to garden, less able to prep fresh vegetables into healthy meals. And sometimes people have to choose between medicine and food. Now, we can start small. There are communities that have planted vegetables in flower pots and spread them out around town, open for anybody to take advantage of. That's a good first small step. It's time to think about how could your community be better fed and how could you help on that process? I've kind of flown through here because I want to hear from Rick. So I want to take a minute to thank you and just share a link to our results of our survey of rural challenges. I think you'd be surprised what over 1,400 people told us over the years, and you might even want to share them too. That's it, Nancy.
Wow, that was fantastic. I didn't realize I was not on mute. I hope I didn't make any noise behind you.
Didn't
But
hear a word.
that was fantastic. And I'll just reiterate for all of you, Deb has always gives us her PowerPoints, and so they'll be posted and you can see all those URLs. So Rick McNary is up next. And I've already told you he's the founder of Shop Kansas Farms. When the pandemic hit, one of our former speakers sent me a link to Rick's, an invitation to join Rick's Facebook page, Shop Kansas Farmers. I was so amazed that I sent it off to about 15 other people to join, and I think they all must have joined. And I think you must have done the same thing when you found out about it, because that thing just exploded. It met a very real need, and its membership now rests at a mere 148,500 members. Rick tells me it still gets several hundred a week, but it takes a while to move it up to another 1,000 people. So Rick will explain the details, and I'll put the Facebook page in the chat room if you haven't joined yet. Rick?
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you all this morning. Shop Kansas Farms began on April 28th of 2020 with the intent of connecting you directly to the farm and ranch families of Kansas so you can purchase the food they raise. That has been our mission from the beginning. It's been difficult at times to stay focused on that mission. I often refer to Vince Lombardi going into the locker room with the Green Bay Packers, holding up a football and saying, "Gentlemen, this is a football." Frequently, I have to reread our mission statement to make the decisions about where we move. who's formed on April 28th, currently 148,000 members. Here are some of the lessons that I learned. A digital connection created a regional food system. I began studying regional food systems back in 2010 and spent a lot of time at K-State actually with the ag folks, and Kirk Kastner was a food science director at the time, trying to understand what a food system looked like. And for me, I boil it down into the three basic components of production, processing, and distribution. Made an attempt to try something locally, moved to a different job, and that kind of died on the vine. But I've been incredibly fascinated. What I saw from those times 10 years ago or 11 was a need for a digital hub for a regional and local food system. And so the third day into Shop Kansas Farms, I understood this was exactly what I had seen that was needed. Didn't start off with that intent. In fact, when I started it on Tuesday evening, April 28th at 6:58, my wife and I had just finished a great beef dinner we had purchased from a local farm and ranch couple in Anthony, Kansas, KCK Farms, and Katie Carruthers. And my wife told me as we were watching a Hallmark movie that the grocery store the meat counter was empty that day. And I thought, well, that's odd. We just had some of the best beef and I know they have more. So how can I connect people I know with people like Craig and Katie and other farmers that I knew sold their product directly to consumers? So I didn't know much about Facebook groups, created the Facebook group, and checked back 3 hours later. It had grown to 400 members. 24 hours later, grown to 5,000. Within the next 7 days, it had grown to 50,000. I feel like a little kid that was walking along a dam, saw a plug and said, I wonder what that is, pulled on it, and then just got flooded head over tea kettle downstream. I was rescued by some incredibly wonderful admins and moderators. Megan Kramer, Director of Communications at Kansas Farm Bureau, somebody I've known for a number of years. She actually is an editor. I write for the Farm Bureau, feature stories about farmers, and a variety of other people came on and helped me with the group and helped me to stay on focus. One of the things that Megan communicated after 14 years with Farm Bureau is that education was taking place in real time. What they had worked for was happening as farmers learned to talk to consumers and consumers learned what farmers were saying. One of the most popular things, people were selling quarters and halves and wholes of beef. And they were saying, this is the rail weight, this is the hanging weight, this is the stuff. And as it goes to locker and consumers like myself, I'm not a farmer, we're looking at them going, what is that? In fact, one of the wonderful things that happened along the way, Dr. Junie Kwan at K-State bought a beef, went to the locker, was disappointed that the hanging weight and the actual product she ended up with were the weight was significantly less than she expected. And she did a wonderful job of going to the farmer, going to the locker and saying, what happened? And both the farmer and the locker walked them through. They actually showed her a video of her beef being processed. And so she understood, when bones are taken out and all that happens with that. She has since worked with a group at K-State, and they recently received a grant to really help write some marketing support to help with this communication gap. And I still see it taking place. Farmers advertise and say, I have a quarter, beef, and it's this and this and this. And consumers like, I don't know what you mean. So consumer education. We've done a little bit of research on farmers and ranchers and the success stories of their profitability. Many have reported 500% and 600% increase in sales. I've seen numbers. They've shown me things. It's been astonishing. One young lady in particular, a farmer the year before had started this direct to consumer of wholes and halves and quarters and had 20 customers. Last year, she had 550. It exploded their business. Some of the relationships were established as people truly began to get to know their farmers, their food and their farmers. There were some gaps identified that Facebook could not fill, but only a website could. A business directory with an interactive map. People were asking from the very beginning, where are these farmers located? How can we find them?
Aren't the ones we wrote last?
And
were the ones we wrote last fall that we scrambled them through together.
The next one was the buying and selling of live animals. Facebook does not allow that. And at the time, of course, because of the way the maturation of animals, pigs and cattle, farmers were desperate because there were no lockers to process them, and they didn't want to euthanize whole herds, and so they were trying to sell. Facebook doesn't allow that. And a review system of sellers. Unfortunately, we found that there were scammers. And part of the reason now, if anybody is wanting to sell and advertise on our Facebook group, they have to be listed in our farm directory. That's a security for both for the consumer as well as, for us who are behind the scenes. And then, of course, the issue of food safety. So my wife and I decided to form Shop Kansas Farms LLC. We are not a nonprofit. We are a business. My wife is a international finance director for a major corporation, MBA. So pretty smart when it comes to business things. We set this up as a business, feeling like that was creating a better long-term sustainability program or model for farmers, as we can invest back our own resources into this and then generate revenue to help farmers. There are more than 775 farmers listed on that site. You must be listed. When I look at these numbers, I see 775 entrepreneurs. And it might be somebody that's selling eggs for the first time, or they're selling their produce and they're trying to navigate this. To me, that's the best part of all of this, is that we've stimulated entrepreneurship. One of the things that's really been pleasant to me in this whole process is Barb Depew from the Kansas State Department of Education saw what Shop Kansas Farm does best, and that is we connect consumers to farmers. That's what we do best. And so if you look at those numbers, 148,000 plus, about 1,000 of those are farmers or producers or sellers. The other 147,000 are consumers. So being able to connect farm to school programs and help build this out, we've established a formal relationship, and we're really trying to, if you go to our website and you're interested in this, there's a lot of information that will help make that connection. But getting back to the regional food system, as I say, if you Google regional food systems, you'll see charts that look like somebody just threw a whole bunch of stuff on a wall, and it's really confusing. It boils down to processing, distribution, and production. What I see Shop Kansas Farm being is that digital hub for regional food systems. And if you think of Kansas divided up into basically 6 different regions, and how can we help flesh that out? So here's the vision, here's the future of what we see. So if you think of this, if Shop Kansas Farms can be that go-to place where people who are producers say, I need to go find equipment, I need to go find supplies, the technology, the marketing help, or for in the processing thing, for meat processors, dairy processing, vegetable, all of those types of things. And then in the distribution, I was explaining the food system model to someone the other day, and they said, well, I Googled it and I saw these things and it was really confusing. And I said, well, imagine going to your garden and you want to plant corn. Think about a food system this way. Your first question is, what seed am I going to plant? That's the production thing. And what am I going to use? Is it going to be organic? Is it going to be conventional? How do I water it? That's all a part of that production process. But when it hits maturation and it's ready to be harvested, then becomes that processing. What are you going to do with that corn? Are you going to shave it, blanch it, going to throw it, going to sell it? Or what are you going to do? How is that going to make it to the plate for the end consumer? And then comes the distribution process. How does that, are you taking it back to your freezer? Or are you taking it to the farmer's market? Or what are you doing? So a system involves those 3 basic things as they build out. So our vision is that the website serves as that digital hub for a regional food system. Now, here's something that we are rolling out too. Our commitment to help farmers is based upon the gaps that we have seen. The first thing we did was invest in the website. That was for farmers and consumers both. So we've invested in a website with a searchable online map and a directory. And if you go to our website right now, that's predominantly what it is. However, we've been working with a website company and a developing group behind the scenes to help with two other gaps that we have noticed. One is farmers have a difficult time knowing how to market and knowing how to sell and being able to sell well digitally. For example, a lot of farmers, and this is where scammers were gaining opportunity. They were saying, well, if you want a quarter of a beef, send me a check or cash, for $500 as a down payment. And there was a guy in particular that ran off with that money. Fortunately, he's being investigated with the Attorney General right now. But that type of vulnerability of saying it's cash or check made the consumer vulnerable and gave opportunity. It also, for consumers, we've heard them say, it's really difficult to buy from some farmers. We want to buy this product, but we don't want to send them a check. We don't want to take cash. And so we've identified that gap, that farmers need help learning how to market and learning how to sell better. I have a lot of years of experience in marketing and sales. And so, for example, early on, a farmer put up a post of 5 hogs laying in mud. And he wanted to sell his hogs. They were going to go to locker. And they were disgusting looking. And I messaged him back and I said, can't you just put a picture of a pork chop on a grill on there or some bacon frying in the pan? He's like, no, those are my hogs. And I've got a lot of money wrapped up and I'm proud of them. It's like, okay, let's try this. You put that up there and see what public response is. So I let it through. And at the time we did allow live animal shots. Learned that Facebook has really started shutting us down on that too. So anyway, the response he got was not positive. People were like, I don't want to buy that. I don't want to eat that. That's disgusting looking. And so I sent him some photos, stock photos of pork chops and some things. And so he put those up there, sold out within 2 or 3 hours. That's the marketing thing, knowing what your customer and what consumers are looking for. So I also am really committed. Part of our behind the scenes thing, our motto is to protect and to prosper the farmer. And one of the ways that farmers get attacked is, especially those who have high value type of product, is if their prices are higher than the local box store, they'll get nailed on, well, I can go to X Mart and get it for 99 cents a pound. Why are you charging these outrageous prices? We've actually established a rule that if you attack somebody over their prices, you're gone. We just had so much of it, and that's been the most unpleasant thing. And we tell people, just move on if you don't like it. And so we protect the farmers, but we also are really committed to prospering. And for me, that goes back to 20 years I've spent in my professional life in the hunger space, helping with local or domestic and international hunger programs. Supporting especially small farmers is critical to ending, or at least eliminating as much of the severe global hunger as possible. And so I'm really committed to farmers, have been long before Shop Kansas Farms came about. Another thing that we're doing is the website. Now we're really limited with the Facebook group on what we can and cannot do, but with the website, as we build that out, we are building out where farmers can actually, or producers, sellers, whatever you want to call them, can have their own e-commerce website baked into our platform. So it'd be their own. You'll see down here the basic storefront, intermediate storefront, advanced storefront, and it's going to be really cheap to get into. In fact, it's just a pass through for us to the web development company. There's going to be a lot of back end support, but it's going to be a place where we will Shop Kansas Farms, the website will become an online 24/7 marketplace where people can go there, buy safely and securely, kind of an Amazon-like thing where they know, and they know they're Kansas farmers. We're sticking with this is Kansas. This is about Shop Kansas Farms. God bless everybody else in the USA who has farms, but ours is about Shop Kansas Farms. Another thing that we're working on and behind this is we'll be bringing professional people in to help us help farmers market and sell. So if somebody's wanting to learn how to market cut products, or they're wanting wholes or halves, or wanting to learn how to ship, we've got a list of professionals, preferred professionals who you can learn from, and they're proven to be successful. Another thing that we're working behind the scenes is we want people from all over America buying from Shop Kansas Farms, from those who have the capacity to ship all over America. And so, as well as Kansas, so the questions that we have is, so we have 147,000 consumers now. How do we reach the other millions in Kansas as well as the millions in the US? One of the primary ways with our website is through search engine optimization. And my son is a digital marketing expert and sells high-end security systems to major companies. His next door neighbor is an SEO company owner. His company does Amazon's Alexa SEO. And so these are the people who are guiding us forward and saying, here's what you're going to need, here's what's going to happen. And so when people look for local, they're going to see Shop Kansas Farm hit that very first thing within that. So we're going to be helping farmers advertise, helping them sell, helping them market behind the scenes. And so it's going to be an easy way that farmers can get an e-commerce website platform on Shop Kansas Farms, safe and secure without a lot of hassle. And if anybody ever tells you building a website is cheap and easy from scratch, they're crazy. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to anything else they say, because it's not. However, that being said, we're building templates that people can populate their stuff into that's under a migrated system. So the other point we're often asked is, how are we going to make money? It's really simple. For every transaction that happens on that website for the farmers, like an Etsy or anything else, we will take a transaction fee. It'll just, something comes right off the top, full reporting, farmer gets all the money, but that little part, just like off an Etsy or anything like that, goes to us. So that's how we will generate revenue. The thing I like about it, in fact, I love the term I heard recently. Somebody saw this and said it was a pragmatic altruism. Is I want to do good, but I want to do good and make money to keep doing good. I have another job. I have another profession I've been involved with for 20 years. I'm not trying to make money off this, but I like to get my money back, and as well as help build this out. And so the beauty of this is Shop Kansas Farms LLC will only make money if we can help farmers make money. That's the pragmatic altruism. What I like about this, we'll only make money if we help the farmers. So we're really committed. And frankly, I've walked through farmers markets and having spent years in marketing and sales and things like this, like, oh my, they could really use a lot of help with learning how to brand, learning how to market, and learning how to sell. So that's the vision. That's where we're headed. And thank you for this opportunity.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thanks so much, Rick. There's a lot there to see. So I'm going to put it back on. What you see on the screen is controllable by you. So I want to put it on gallery view so I can see any and all of you that are willing to share your faces. Colleen has a question. I'm going to make it into a question that you're really clear about your role is on food and making food accessible. And so Colleen's question is, what about those farmers who are selling other products like fiber or lumber or fiber or compost or other products that are farmed? And so I'm putting it there as a question for any of you to answer. What are you aware of for Colleen besides starting her own marketing process?
Colleen did share her Facebook page too. And she's in Abilene, right? Is that what you said?
North of Abilene.
And we did start on the fiber side, we did start a Kansas Fiber Producers Association Facebook group that has been linking people to fiber producers, because that's kind of our specialty. But I know that there's other farmers that fall through the cracks, and COVID just killed them this year, and they didn't have somebody like Shop Kansas Farms, which is exclusive to food and leaving out all the other things that farms produce. So, you know, as we sit here and brainstorm to be connectors for people, how do we fill those cracks?
It's a really good question. I hadn't even thought about it. So when you brought that up, I thought that was interesting. Rick, you want to add that to the Shop Kansas Farms, or is that something you see an opportunity for a whole new business?
Absolutely. We've seen the need for that. And trust me, Colleen, it's been really difficult for us to turn those down. When people say we have these crafts, we have these things that fight the stuff that's non-consumable for human consumption with food. But we've stayed really true to our focus. This is about food. However, we have allowed people who have value-added products made from the thing. So, you know, if they have goat milk for sale and they're making soap, they can do both. You know, another thing we've had to look at from the backside. Now, remember, right now, Shop Kansas Farms is totally volunteer run from the standpoint of the website. There's not one person making a dime off of any of this. In fact, my wife and I are just investing into this. And so for us, it's been as we look at the posts that come in early on, we were getting 500 to 600 posts a day. Because people see the market and they go, I want to go sell this. I want to go sell that. I want to go sell my hay. I want to go sell my combine. I want to go sell my tractor. I want to go sell, you know, and it's like, wow, if we opened it up, we'd get thousands of posts every day. And so what we have done is direct them to great places like Hitchpin, which is an app made for farmers to sell all kinds of stuff like that. We've just really tried to stay true to that focus. Long term, yes, we see that opportunity to create a model for people to be able to sell their arts and crafts and other type of things. But for right now, we've stayed with food that is truly raised by farmers or value-added products that come from farmers in Kansas, mostly. So yeah, we see the need, we see an opportunity, and frankly, from a business side, if I was just in this for the money, I would have opened it wide up to that part of it, and our website would have probably taken off several months ago. But we've stuck true to just it being about connecting people so they can buy food. Yes, it's in the future, but not right now.
Gotcha. You know, we do talk about the end product of the fiber, people that are taking the fiber and making things, just handmade products overall, as a new way for entrepreneurs to enter the market in their local communities. And you know, those big factories that your economic developers are looking for, they're not coming. They're few and far between. So how could we bring these folks in as entrepreneurs and maybe do some shared spaces or a pop-up event just to test and try out their product? You'll hear more from us in the future about that too. But if you want to share that group link, that would be great. I'd join it. And if people want to, gosh, I might be asking for a lot here, but I want to hear all the stories. I want to know what people are doing, what the small towns and rural areas are doing with the products that they raise and that grow.
Right, and I'm not really talking about crafts. I'm not talking about the end use. I'm talking about the actual raw fleeces. The value added for me then is the yarns that are produced, that we have produced from that. But our crop is the fleece itself.
Ah.
See what I'm getting at? So we don't have, I mean, I've got fiber fairs this year, but last year they all were gone. We lost everything for a year and a half. We had no sales outlet. So now I can barely keep it in stock. So yeah.
Oh, I really appreciate your thoughts on this. We've got another comment here. Elizabeth Berger from the Sunflower Foundation says, speaking from the nonprofit world, I find this concept of pragmatic altruism particularly appealing. Nonprofits can't do it all. This is a wonderful way to optimize the free market in a way that directly benefits people and places. So a question for you, Rick. Let's see. The idea of e-commerce is not new. Why do you think it's taken so long for someone like you to develop this type of platform? Are there some very unique challenges to selling local food that make this more challenging? Finally, how can local economic development corporations and chambers use this platform and network? And any ideas?
Sure. As far as developing the e-commerce platform like this, in a lot of ways, Chop Local, and we know them and like what they do, so that's kind of a similar model. Yet for us, it's been really specifically focused on Kansas and not the nation, and not offering, and as well as it's not that people will be putting their websites on ours, their website will be a part of ours. So the Shop Kansas Farms, if a farmer creates their website under our domain, their website will be theirs. It'll show their own stuff, but it's connected to our server. It's connected to our umbrella. So what we see as Shop Kansas Farm is this umbrella, and there will be hundreds, hopefully thousands, of farmers who are selling through this, and yet they're all connected. It's that type of bringing things together under one financial, and we're using Stripe. That we've done the research, and that's the best thing out there. I avoid PayPal like the plague. But Stripe is really a solid thing. We're working with Stripe developers to help create this out. And so the safety, the security, the reporting, and all of that will be done very well for the farmers. So I think the idea of the websites being connected to our website to the benefit of the farmers, and that transaction model, I think the pandemic itself exposed the number of producers the number of consumers who are really interested. And so that's been a unique thing that, it's like, for me, I have a really busy life. I have a really busy job. In fact, I'm working on a food system model in 4 different African countries right now. When Shop Kansas Farms came to me last year, I had no idea it was going to do this. And as it took off, so to me, it's a stewardship issue. It's like, this was a gift. How do I do this that's best for the farmers? So the pandemic, and then farmers coming in and calming public fears. The work I've done in the last 20 years is all about food security or insecurity. And when you think of hungry people or food insecurity, it's usually poor people. But last year, for the first time ever, food insecurity was defined differently, because if you think about the access and availability for food, suddenly people who had money could not find it, the food to buy. That's a new level of food insecurity in my 61 years of living I've never seen in the United States. So the pandemic exposed the consumers. So much of what we're doing is really being consumer driven. I've been studying food systems for years, and much of that is done from a very high level, a top level down. Shop Kansas Farms is really a grassroots consumer ideology coming up. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and so that's how I'm looking at these things. The
Thanks,
second
Rick.
question,
Oh, go ahead.
as far as unique challenges, distribution is the most difficult challenge. And that whole concept of processing and distribution, especially for produce growers, cold storage. How do you get that stuff, safe and secure for a while, instead of having to rush it straight off the farm to a farmer's market? And so the cold storage, figuring that piece out. Also the distribution, can you pick it up local? Can you ship it around the nation? All of those type of challenges are out there. Now, one of the things that we fundamentally believe is that we build this system as entrepreneurs. Anybody with an entrepreneur heart are going to look at things and say, I can fill that gap, whether it's a cold storage or whether there are others. But the processing and the distribution component are in particularly difficult. One of the greatest needs that I see are USDA certified kitchens that can be spaced out all over the state, so people can go in and take their produce, create value added stuff, and then sell it, the salsas and the things of that nature. But they're really hard, and there are not very many of those out there. How can local eco development corporations and chambers really use this platform? If they can identify entrepreneurs, in fact, I tell nonprofits the same thing. when you go into a community, and if you're working with a nonprofit, look for the entrepreneurs. Do what you can to help support them. Look for the people who are trying to sell the eggs or trying to sell the produce. What can you do to help them with that processing and distribution component? Because most entrepreneurs, especially producers, have great abilities to grow things. They just don't know how to process. They don't know how to distribute, or they don't have access to that. So economic development corporations, if you're in a community, bring in a USDA certified food kitchen. So you can rent it out local and have people come in. You can teach classes on food preparation. You can have people that come in with their jalapenos and make salsas. Find something in that value chain that you can help fund that gives entrepreneurs the ability to build their businesses out better.
You know what, Rick, even if your economic developers take a look at churches are a great example. Many of them have kitchens. If they're not already certified, they can help them become certified because they use them on Sundays. What else could they use the rest of the week? So look at what's already there as well. And for chambers, all of your people should be members and they should help support and promote those people. Former chamber director here, so.
So I'm going to get back to the questions, but I want to acknowledge and introduce, make sure you all are aware, Tricia Purdon is joining us today as the new director of the Office of Rural Prosperity. And I see her taking lots of notes and making lots of comments. Trish was formerly with Montgomery County and did lots of great things there. Tricia, what would you like us to know?
Yeah, thank you so much for introducing me. I'm excited to be joining the Office for Rural Prosperity in Kansas Department of Commerce. I am an economic developer, but the goal of the Office of Rural Prosperity really is to be the main point of contact for all of our rural communities, to help our rural communities, our entrepreneurs, our organizations, our cities to connect with Kansas Department of Commerce in ways to help grow their community. And so I was excited to see this topic because agriculture is absolutely one of our largest industries, obviously, in the state of Kansas. And I think I was probably one of the first people to join your group, Rick, because down here in Southeast Kansas, all the food disappeared. And I was like, I'm surrounded by farms. I know that we have food here. And so we joined and we shared and we pushed it out with my organization at Montgomery County Action Council, trying to get our farmers to participate and get on there as well. So I'm excited to see all the initiatives happening here, and hopefully I can be a great resource to all of you as we move forward. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is Trisha, TRISHA .Purdon, PURDON @ks.gov, and I'll drop that in the chat too. So, but it's TRISHA. Someone typed it in there, but yeah. So I'm a Kansas kid. I grew up in the tiny town of Kiowa, Kansas, out in south central, southwestern Kansas, and so I lived in Kansas almost my whole life. And so I'm excited to take on this role and really start moving some things forward. We're pretty excited about this action plan that we've submitted to the governor yesterday. So. I'm here if anyone has questions.
Thanks, Tricia. I wanted to welcome you. So Eli asked a question that I had in my mind too. And how does Shop Kansas Farms relate to, or how are you working to collaborate with From the Land of Kansas?
We've had a conversation about, what food systems look like. And I've offered all of our, resources and about how, and of course, my background, I've talked with KDA in the past about, what I can do to help start local food systems. So, it's for all of us trying to figure out how food systems work. And so we've talked about that with From the Land of Kansas and how Shop Kansas Farms can fit into a food system model.
Perfect. And I'm seeing other resources going into the chat. If you don't know this already, if you go into the top right corner of your own screen and see the three little dots, then you can, nope, I'm wrong. That's not where it is. It's in the participants, isn't it? About how to save the chat for yourself.
It's in the lower right-hand corner, the three dots. And you
Okay,
just
thank
click
you.
on Save Chat.
Okay, there you go. Lower right-hand corner, save chat. So then you can see all these resources. Ron Wilson is sharing some things from K-State. We have lots of resources that it's hard to even for K-Staters to know about them, but persevere and ask us what we know. Maybe we'll ask somebody else. Any questions that I missed or any that you want to throw in there? Good comments about kitchens, and I would echo Deb in our county and Shawnee County. The local gathering place, the Expo Center, the huge event center, was getting a huge remodel, and our county extension agent put herself in front of the county board and said, when you remodel that kitchen, make sure that it's a commercial, something that's able to be a commercial kitchen for others. And so just that intentionality and the realization that it could be that if only you do it from the beginning was a huge value add for everybody. So I'm going to open it up for partner sharing. We just have a few minutes left. We have as many minutes as anybody wants to stay. While you're thinking what to share, I'll just throw out my own efforts. We do grant writing workshops. The workshops are now being held online, and we have 2 workshops planned in August and September. The workshops are available you just sign up on Global Campus. I'm sending you the place to see them. They cost just $60, and they consist of 2 synchronous interactive Zoom sessions of 3 hours each and many downloadable resources. I'd welcome anybody that wants to join us. Who else has a share?
Well, I'm going to share one. I'm just really excited. I know I talked to Ron about this a while back about building an internship program here. And we were aiming mostly at young folks from Fort Riley who might be transitioning out of the Army or who wanted to explore agriculture and to see if it really was a fit for them, or if, it smelled too bad or whatever. So we met a young couple at one of our open houses where we did shearing demos. And as soon as they get back from vacation, he's deploying, but she is going to work on experimenting with some pasture raised poultry, and we'll be able to sell that under our meat license, because we got from the land of Kansas, and they really hooked us up with all the experts that we needed to know. And so we'll have our first internship starting. And the goal for us was to be able to give them a place to experiment where they're not risking the farm. You know what I mean? We have just enough property where they can kind of come out, pick a little bit, play with it, and figure out what they want to do. And we can help them market their products from their efforts. So I'm real excited that that'll be starting up this year.
It's a wonderful model. Wonderful model. Anybody else have a share? Well, if you think of something you want to share later, why send it to me and I'll send it out with the link. The links to this recording will be on later. Connie Fitzpatrick, I see you there. You want to share what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I have to hop into another meeting, so I'll try to be super brief. I am working on a project. I'm from the Douglas County Sustainability Office, and we're working on a project with in partnership with the Kansas Creative Art Industry Commissions and other partners in the state too, to support ethnic food retailers in Douglas County. So if anybody is interested in multicultural work, supporting ethnic food retailers, I have left my email on the chat. So just contact me and I'll be happy to chat with you and share more about the project. But I do have to go, and good to see everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Connie.
Hey, Nancy.
Yes.
Hey, Shelley Hansel here from Harper County. Love all this local farm talk because, of course, several of our local farms were mentioned. KCK Farms, we've got South 50 Meats, Berries and Brambles. We are so excited that we are actually trying to put together a farm to fork, kind of a farm tour this fall. And so, stay tuned for some more details, but and I have to put a shout out. I just recently joined Save Your Town, and I was telling, hey Deb,
Hi, Shelley. Thank you for your comment, by the way.
well, and I was going to share that. I sent them a comment yesterday saying, I was a chamber director for 12 years. I thought, what can these ladies who are about my age teach me about, advertising local, saving my town? I'm telling you, folks, these gals know their stuff. You need to sign up for Save Your Town. It has been a game changer, even for this old broad right here. So,
And the newsletters are free, just so you know. The sign up doesn't cost you anything.
That's right.
right on.
They are worth seeing. So I put a link in our chat for where you can find the next speakers, but our very next speaker is going to be, affordable housing. Affordable livable housing is really hard to find in rural Kansas or anywhere for that matter. And in August, our call will be Ryan Vincent, the Executive Director of the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, and Kayla Savage from the Community Development Director at the Kansas Department of Commerce will tell us about Kansas housing resources. There's a lot of them out there, but they are working on and aware of gaps, but they're working hard. So I leave you today with the thought, this weekend, as we celebrate a historical day we call Independence Day, I hope you'll join me in celebrating a different model for the future that was illustrated by Deb and Rick. This idea is based on helping each other reach their goals. In that future, I think Oprah Winfrey is right. When I look at the future, it's so bright, it burns my eyes. Thanks, and have a great Kansas Day.
Thanks, Nancy. We appreciate this.
Thank you.
As always, thank you,
Thanks,
Nancy.
Nancy.